Okay, we are finishing off January 2011. This one asks you to derive a formula from this existing Now, you should know these. This one is one that you have to know. This is your Pythagorean identity. It comes off of, in your circle, when we do your unit circle, and we use a unit circle with a radius of 1. This is your y and your x. Your x is your cosine. Your y is your sine. And it follows Pythagorean's theorem. Sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. That's your Pythagorean identity. That identity is going to help you through most of your things using any of the identities here. To derive this, you're going to start with this. Now, how do you get a tangent out of something? A tangent is the same as a sine over cosine. So if we divide this guy by cosine squared, we should get tangent squared. So since this is an equation, we have to divide everything by cosine squared. And cosine over cosine is 1, and 1 over cosine is secant squared. To get the other one, you would divide everything by sine squared a, and that'll get you the one with the secant and the cotangent in it. But this is the only one that they asked, and this is all they want you to do. Here's a binomial expansion. They're just a little bit tougher, a binomial expansion, and they want the whole expansion. When you do a binomial expansion, the easiest way to start is with a simple one. That's going to expand into 3 terms. So now you know n plus 1 is your terms. Your first term starts with the highest exponent and decreases, and it goes to x to the 0. So your first term exponent decreases, and your second term exponent increases. And you also notice the 2. This right here, these coefficients, is Pascal's triangle. Those are combinations. So this exponent of 5 is going to give you 6 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything starts with a C. That's what gives you the Pascal triangle coefficients. You're doing this 5 times. Put a 5 on everybody. Start with 5 and work your way backwards. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Because you have to remember to start with the 0. Now, your first term of this is 2x. Put the 2x in parentheses all the way down. This is the one that's decreasing. It starts with the highest. So it starts with a 5, then it goes to 4, then to 3, 2, 1, 0. Your second term is negative 1. The negative 1 all the way down. It is important to keep that in parentheses. Now you have your expansion here. The second one is the one that's increasing. We did the first one, so the second one increases. If you want, start backwards. Go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. If you notice at all times, these exponents add up to whatever that one is. So in this case, they have to add up to 5. Now the next step is just to put the C part in your calculator. Put this in your calculator and worry about the rest. This is my 1, 2 raised to the 5th power is 32. X to the 5th, anything to the 0 is 1. And we're going to resolve this all the way down. 5c1 is 5. 2 to the 4th power. And you can put this in your calculator if you like. 5c1 times 2 to the 4th. And you can, figure it out from there. This is what gives this a negative. 5c2 is your 10. And a negative squared is a positive. So 80x cubed. 5c3 and 5c2 are the same, 10. But now you're going to get a negative 1. So this is going to give you a negative. 5c4 is the same as 5c1. And you get a positive. And 5c5 is the same as 5c0. And that becomes a 1, and that becomes a negative. And there's your binomial expansion. Work one step at a time and work it in patterns. Okay, number 37. Number 37 says triangle ABC. It does not say right triangle ABC. So we draw any triangle ABC. And you can label it any way you like. Angle A is 32, and I should have said degrees here. And opposite is the little a, which is 12. B is opposite big B, and that's 10. They want you to find the missing angles and the missing sides and round everything to the nearest 10. Now, you notice there's one ratio that you do have. So I would work with the easiest one first. Go here and find yourself angle B. So you have the formulas for your sine, your law of sines, in the back. So we've got B over the sine of B, and A over the sine of A. When you cross multiply these, remember you are finding the sine of B. Once you find the sine of B, put it in your calculator, second sine, and then you'll find the angle B. And they want it to the nearest tens. So we found the sine of B to be this. We did second sine of this information, and we got your angle. From here, and I would put it right on your triangle. You know that the sum of all the angles add up to 180. So add your 32 and 26.2 and subtract it from 180. And then you will find angle C. So to find angle C, you're going to get 121. Remember to keep it to the tenths. So you've got angle B, angle C, and now we need to find side C. This is the one that you know, so use A. So 12 over the sine of 32 is C over the sine of 121.8. When you cross multiply, you will come out with the side. And it didn't give you any measurements, so you can just leave it to the 10. Number 38 is a nice probability, a binomial probability. The probability that the Stormville Sluggers will win in the baseball game is 2/3. Probability of win, 2/3. So everything else is a not win, is a loss. That's 1 minus 2/3. There's your probabilities. Determine the probability to the nearest thousands, that means you need 3 decimal places, that they will win at least 6 of their 8 games. 10 is 8. You need at least 6. Therefore, you need 6 or 7 or 8. They need to win the least 6. So here's your series of combinations. You start with your C. You're doing this 8 times. First time around, we want to do 6. Let me fix this. This is a nice pattern, 6. We always want to be successful first. So we measure our successes. We want 6. Then we measure our failures. We want 8 minus 6, 2. To that, we're going to add the 7. Keep 8. Go to 7. 2/3, 7. 1/3, 8 minus 7. Do the 8. 2/3, 8. 1/3, 8 minus 8, 0, which when you put it in your calculator is 1. Now, I would just put the whole thing in my calculator, and at the end, drop my answer to the 3 decimal places. Sometimes they will say exact value. Now, if they tell you exact value ever, you go back to math and flip it back to a fraction. That'll give you an exact value. A lot of them don't revert back to a fraction, which is when they will tell you to round. And your last one here is a function of the temperature of a cup of hot chocolate as it cools. And they gave you the formula. You need to work with this formula. The first part, there's 2 parts to this. The first part is just placing all your information into your formula. You start with a cup of hot chocolate is placed in a room that has a temperature of 68. This is your room temp. T sub 0 is your room temp. After 3 minutes is your time. The temperature of the hot chocolate is 150 degrees, and that's the temperature T. Okay? Find the pieces to this. The most important part is to label this. Compute the value of K to the nearest thousands. They want 3 decimal places. So we plug in what we know. T is 150 minus T sub 0, which is 68, is equal to negative K. We don't know this. Time we know is 3. And now we solve. We can put this in your calc just like you read it. Subtract your 4.718 and divide by negative 3 and find me the value of K. This is your first part. Your second part says using this value. So we are going to take this value and we're going to plug it back into this equation, and we're going to find T, this guy right here. If it's been sitting in the room for a total of 10 minutes, there's my time. And again, they want it expressed to the nearest degree. So we write the formula down. And you substitute what you know and what you need. I need the T. I know it's 68 because they told us that was what our room temp was. I now know my K. I have to put the negative sign in front of it. I know my time to be 10. I come down here. I plug this in. don't have a lot of room, I can't move it down. So to get rid of my ln, I raise both sides to the e. These cancel out. I'm going to bring it over here. I plug this into my calculator. And then I add 68. And I round to my nearest degree. Remember, there were two parts to this. This first part and then the second part. And this completes this region.